What's happening, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back for some trade recaps. So today I'm going to go over my shorts in OCGN and Veru. I had these two shorts for today, up about 50 on the day. So about half what I made yesterday, but still good on the week. It's 3 green days this week, up about 200 on the week. So that's good. In my small account, it's that's like 10%. That's more than 10% of my account. So that's a pretty decent week so far. I am probably going to look to trade in the afternoon, possibly, but light size, just so I don't give back any of my profits unless I see some really nice setups. But anyway, so on OCGN, it's kind of just the same as yesterday. I was shorting this thing yesterday throughout the day, kind of catching these pops, shorting it at like 13, covering towards 12. Did it again in the afternoon, profitable in both of those. So I figured, let's rinse and repeat. Let's give it another shot today. Once it broke down towards 13 here, I figured let's get in for the short, see if it can break 13. It originally held. I covered some when it hit 13 here. I kind of was wicked out a little bit on some of my shares, but I held kind of, a third of my shares, and then I added right back in once I realized that this was just wicking out and it wasn't actually reversing. So the VWAP was still acting as resistance and we were starting to move lower. So I was confident to get back in, and then I covered some shares into another dip towards 13, and then I got back in around 13.25, now holding for the break of 13, and I covered most of my shares towards the 12.76s, and over here, I kind of just gave up and kind of just got out. It kind of was wicking around here forever. I was just getting tired of it. I was already up 25 something on it, and I was just like, you know what? I'm just done with it. It was just wicking around too much and wasn't really giving us that move towards 1250 that I really wanted. As you can see, it did kind of do it, but you would have had to kind of wait for another push back up to 13.15, right? So either way, decent trades. Like I said, about $25 on that trade. And then this one here on Veru was very similar. VWAP rejection strategy. Looked at it out of the gates. It kind of looks strong in the pre-market. But you can see when I draw this wedge pattern that it goes up, tries to break this resistance, almost does break it, but then gets rejected down and completely crushes, like breaks through this bottom ascending resistance. So as soon as that ascending resistance is broken, this descending resistance becomes the ultimate kind of controlling trend factor. So I follow this descending trend line, and as soon as I see it reject here, start to move lower, I start getting in these pops, and then as it pops up towards the VWAP here, I get in again with full size, and I look to move that, to catch that move lower. So it kind of wicked me out here, but then I got right back in at the top. So I covered my shares, kind of not wanting it to run too high, and then I got back in at the top, right? So, I mean, it could have just held. It would have probably been fine, and it would have been kind of the same, but either way, I didn't want to get wicked out and have this thing run all the way up, so I just kind of covered to make sure that this thing was going to reject at the VWAP, and then once we got that rejection, I was back in at 1030, and then held this thing back down into the 970s. So obviously, if I would have just held a little longer, it would have gave us a nice move, a bigger move, but these candles were such big wicks down that I didn't want it to just reverse back up. So I could have got back in once it popped up here, and then held that short. Would have been really nice, but sometimes I just like to take the profits when I'm given them, especially if you get those big flushes, and then kind of rinse and repeat, see if we can do it again, or if we can, just take our profits. So you are leaving money on the table sometimes, and these VWAP projection strategies are profitable, but they can also be very wicky, and these can be very, choppy. And if this thing breaks down, but then comes right back up and breaks above the VWAP, then you're screwed, right? Like instead of taking your profits here for a nice $25 win, you're back up and you're down $50 because this thing goes to 11 within no time, right? So when you're shorting, I like to take my profits kind of when you get these big flushes down. And then you start to get these resistance levels, especially into these Keltner channels. So when you have these when it's hitting these bottom of these channels, right, that's kind of support forming. So you don't want to be really shorting below that unless you see some serious weakness, right? So like right here, when you get this pop up, but then just serious selling pressure, it's like, okay, this thing wants to move lower, right? And you're kind of confident to then short it around the 960, 950 area and hold it down towards $9. But anyway, those are the trades for today. Like I said, I might go over some more trades later in the futures. So I'm up like 137. Basically, I was up like 150. I was down like nothing. Like I was back to break even. Then I'm back up to 150 again. I was basically kind of several trades I took kind of off of this bounce here up. And then I was trying to short it into this VWAP here as it was kind of coming up. I was kind of shorting it, trying to get these bounces down, and then it just wasn't giving us. And then when it started to wick up, I started to go long. So I caught this kind of rip up and I covered towards the top of this candle here. But like when I was shorting these, I was getting ripped out. I was getting wicked out. So I lost trying to short here, and then I kind of got that back, taking that long position here, just knowing that if it broke above this VWAP, then this VWAP was probably going to act as support, and it was probably going to move higher like it is, right? So then we can kind of go in here and we can draw our ascending support line, right? And we can draw our descending resistance line. And we can understand kind of the direction that the stock is wanting to go, or at least is trending, right? So then you get this wedge formation, and you can see here as it kind of hits this descending resistance, it's going to run into this selling pressure, right? So it broke above the VWAP, it's looking strong, and then it hits that descending resistance, and if it can break above and hold, then it looks really strong. Looks really strong for a long, right? So let's watch it here around this break of this descending resistance level. So like I said, if it can kind of hold this level here, just watch the kind of level 2s, right? So I have these big stacks, 4170, I have big stacks. And this is kind of that level of resistance from the pre-market. So like this area here from the open was acting as support. So once this broke, it turns into resistance. So this 4170 is strong resistance hitting with this descending, pattern here. So that's why it's selling off, and that's why you're seeing this big selling pressure here. It's just following the trend and starting to run into that kind of descending resistance. And if it can break above that, like I said, it's a long, and it will run higher. And it looks like it might, but right now we want to kind of see and just watch the level 2. You can see these bids stacking up, but you can see these huge sellers up here, and that's because that's where the resistance is, right? 4170. That's kind of the area where you want to be going short. But if it can break above that, like I said, it can squeeze those shorts out and turn into support. So we'll see what happens there. Like I said, I'm up like 137. Might take another trade today, but for right now, I'm kind of just sitting tight. Not trying to go too crazy. But yeah, that's my trades for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed them. I know yesterday somebody was not happy with ISNS trade. They're like freaking out because I was shorting ISNS, and they're like, "What are you doing?" I'm assuming they're probably going long on it, and maybe they're bag holding. But at the same time, it's like, I'm not saying the company's bad. He was saying that I said that the news that the company put out was not that impressive, right? And you know what? It's gone to $10 today, $11 today. Wow. This thing has just been ripping up. So congrats to you being long on this thing, man. Congrats to you. I don't have the balls to hold through these moves sometimes. And, I know that it had the COVID kind of catalyst, but a lot of times those have just been getting sold into, or they get these big pops and they get sold just like it had yesterday. Had a kind of a selling day until it reversed there. So I was making money shorting it, but it doesn't mean that I'm bearish on the stock for the long term, right? It just meant on that day I was bearish. Here I would be bullish, right? This is very, very bullish trend, and it's not breaking. It's not giving you these lower highs, right? Like it's only giving you higher lows, which means it just wants to move higher. Now, did it just reverse off of this topping tail at 11? Possibly, right? So that is a question that needs to be answered, and this might be a good short now, but at the same time, before this whole day it's been a long, and maybe in the afternoon it'll turn to a long, but we'll see. But anyway, like I said, a lot of times I'm not holding these long term. I'm going to make a video today about NIO, and I'll talk to you about why I think that can be a good long term hold, and I'm going to do a breakdown for my stock pick of the week. But in terms of like when I'm day trading, I don't really care about what the company's doing. They could be, you know, an amazing company that just cured cancer, but it doesn't matter if the chart's telling me that it wants to sell off and that it's probably going to be a sell, so I should short just to get profits instead of looking to go long on a stock that just because it had some good news, rather than actually, you know, letting the fundamentals and the technical analysis of the chart tell you what you should be doing, right? So when I'm going long, a lot of times those things won't matter as much, and yeah, I'll just, like I said, like even with NIO, it's like just buy and hold, right? But a lot of times with these small float penny stocks, you got to be really careful. Right? You got to be real careful, and a lot of times I'm just looking to day trade these. I'm not looking to hold these for long-term investments. But that's just my opinion. Obviously, it's not trading advice, just my opinion. Take it from what you will. But anyway, that's it for today, guys. Thanks for watching. Please feel free to like and subscribe. Come back for some more trade recaps, and hopefully you guys will follow my NIO video that I'll put out later today. Awesome. Thanks, guys. Bye-bye.